Hey, it's Justin. Now, some people in Discord were asking about how to do the add-ons, how to get them installed, and what they all are. Now, I did post a screenshot of all my different add-ons, but that doesn't really give you much information. So, what I wanted to do is kind of do a walkthrough here. Anybody coming in new gives you the information you need on how to get started, and then I'll do kind of in-depth walkthrough of all the different add-ons that I have and the ones that I feel are most important through my many years of playing ESO. So, to start, first thing you're going to want to do is familiar yourself with ESO UI. This is where all the add-ons are, and they group them into different lists here. So you got like your action bar mod, your auction house, bags, inventory. There's a lot of add-ons here, so it's kind of hard to go through and figure out what you're going to do. Basically, I wouldn't worry about going through them at this point. I'm going to give you the best ones that you're going to want anyways. What you're going to want to do next is get Minion. Now, to get Minion, the easiest way to do that is just Google Minion ESO UI. There you go, Minion Premier Add-on Management. Just download it once you get it downloaded. So this will be blank, and then you'll have to add, just search for Elder Scrolls Online, add it, and then you can go in and start finding the add-ons. Now, it keeps everything up to date for you, or you do have to update it yourself. But if there's ever updates, you just go in here, hit update all. It'll go through and update all your add-ons for you, so you don't even have to keep track. And then you can always go in here, find more. It's going to give you like the most popular ones, most downloaded of all the different add-ons that they have. Now, some of these are out of date or are older, so it's not the best way to go through them, but it does give you a good idea of what you're going to need or what you would be interested in. So what I can do here is I can kind of go through all the different ones on here. Action duration reminder, it's not mandatory in my opinion. What it does is whenever you're switching bars, previous bar skills go above your current bar skills. You can see what the timer is on your buffs or debuffs that you've used on your previous bar. So it takes the guessing game out of knowing when this buff's going to run out or that buff's going to run out. So you can know when you need to switch back to your other bar that's your buff. I find it extremely useful, but if you, depending on how you're playing and what class you're playing, may or may not need it. Alpha gear, also very handy when you get further into the game. It allows you to set many different weapon builds and skill sets and then mix and match them into different builds over here. So you can have, or depending on encounters and dungeons and PvP or PvE, all different hundreds and hundreds of different builds. You can set up by profiles, so you can have a PvE profile and a whole ton of different options in there. And then you got a PvP profile and different options in there. It's limitless, really. You could go on and on forever and have so many different builds and just be able to switch on the fly just with button presses. So it's super handy. Awesome guild store. It's more handy when you're just going through your guild stores. Helps you go through and search for stuff. It's just a much cleaner UI than the previous ones, so I like it better. It's not mandatory. I just like the way it looks and its handiness. Also helps you if you're trying to look for deals. Bandit's user interface. Now this one is one of the ones I find to be probably mandatory in my eyes. I can go in a little more depth of Bandit UI later, but just to kind of touch on the things that it does here, it allows for a lot of customization, and it does a lot of things that a lot of add-ons do all by itself. For example, your reticle, I never said that right, has so much information on it, and you can change how much information's on there, how it looks, so you can see like where crown is all the time and how far away they are based upon the little arrow around your reticle. You've got target resistance and your penetration, so whenever you're fighting somebody or something, you can see, you know, how much penetration, how much damage you're actually doing based upon their resistances. Then you can kind of figure out, hey, maybe I need to spec more penetration so I'm actually doing more damage. Or if you're hitting your penetration cap most of the time, you can just say, hey, maybe I need to pull that back and focus more on magicka or stamina. It has a taunt timer, so just a real quick glance at your bar, you can see how long you have on your taunt still. You got a cast bar, keeps track of whether or not you're in combat. It tells you where the dangerous ground effects directions are. Warning, which is a red circle that appears, and you can change the way it looks too. I like this one myself. Keeps track of your activity finder, so it tells you if you've been through the dungeon, if you've done it in hard mode, if you've done it speed run, and if you've done it with no death. And so you can keep track of all the different ways that you've done your dungeons. A lot of optimization for how things look. You can make things look really cool. More smooth, curved graphics on them. The way the letters and numbers look. It keeps track of your damage per second, your rotations, whether or not you're hitting your light attacks, how often you're doing it, how long the fights last. Tons of different themes. It adds mitigation, player information to your character bar. Whenever you're fighting monsters or multiple fights, it'll keep track of the encounter has 3 different bosses. When the fights are, it keeps track of what percentages they do stuff. So if you 50%, you'll say, hey, at 50%, this one's got some attack it does. You can just watch it right up top. It's super handy. You don't even have to have them targeted. So tons of stuff. There's so much more that it does, but this is just real quick touch on this one, and I'll do another video where I'll walk you through all the different stuff that it does, because it's so much. Let's see, BeamMeUp. This one's just real simple. It's an add-on that allows you to, any friend or guildie that's in the game, you can travel to their location just by simply clicking on any of these spots over here. It'll take you right to wherever they're at. So if you need to go to Cyrodiil, you got 18 people on in Cyrodiil, you simply click this, it'll take you right to Cyrodiil no matter where you're at. Deshaun, same, click here, no matter where you're at, you got 12 people there. You can break it down and you can click on this and see all the different people. So if you know there's one particular person that you want to travel to, you can just click on that one. It saves you from having to go into each guild and say, all right, I want to go to Alkir. I don't want to pay the 146 gold to find it. So you just simply hit your map. It automatically comes up. It's over on your left-hand side. Say there's Alkir. Click on there. Off to Alkir you go. Super simple. So these are all these lib things you're going to see are additions to a lot of these things that you're going to have to download. After you get these downloaded and you go into game, you'll see a lot of them may be red because they do require secondary things that you have to download, and that's all these little book ones you're going to see. So you can kind of disregard them for right now. You'll have to get them later depending on which add-ons you choose. So you got codes, combat alerts. This one is for basically the dungeons, and it tells you what's coming. Like if you got a sniper, it's about to snipe you, gives you a countdown. That red line basically tells you when you need to roll, because some of them, like if you roll too late, it's still going to hit you even with the countdown. So super handy in fights. Let you know, quit attacking, attack again for mobs that go invincible. Let you know when big hits are coming, when big AoEs are coming. Not everyone is in codes combat alerts, like not every attack in every dungeon, but there's most of the more significant ones are in there, and there's more added all the time. So if you're running dungeons, it makes it so much easier for you. So it's something I definitely recommend. You got Craft Store here. What it does is it keeps track of what you've researched. So if you're ever wondering like what you still need to research in any set, this Craft Store thing right here, super handy. And right now I've got them all researched, but growing up it was mandatory for me, is that you didn't know what you were looking for most of the time. That kept track of it for you. Destinations is just a map add-on. Puts all the stuff on your map to show you where everything is before you even go there. So you don't have to go to every destination and know where it's at. Display leads is for the new expansion. Keeps track of all the different leads that you have, how long until they are going to expire, where the location is, what kind of lead it is, what level you need to be to do it, the zone that you can get it in, and then the location where you go and search for it. So if you're working on your leads at any point, the display leads is super handy. You can break it down to, like, if you're looking for just the pieces for that wolf, the mechanical wolf, you can just pull up just the mechanical wolf pieces and it'll tell you where they all are, which ones you have, which ones you don't, who you need to go and kill, or where you need to go and search. Everything's on there, so super handy. Let's see, Lazyrit Crafter. If you're into crafting, this one's kind of mandatory in my eyes. It makes your life so much easier. And all you have to do is every day you go and you click on the writ board. It just gets you all the writs. You don't even have to click through it. Go to each spot to do your writs. It just automatically does them. Then you go and turn them in. You can get all your writs done in a matter of a minute or two. So super easy. Instead of having to go through and click through them constantly. It's a game changer. Fast Ride. What this does is it adds the speed thing through the Untaunted to your bar anytime you get on a horse, and then removes it. Rapid maneuvers, that's what it's called. And then removes it as soon as you get off. So makes it real easy. You get on the horse, it's on your bar, you click it, get off your horse, it removes it from your bar. So you don't have to have a separate build. There's a couple different ones that are similar to Fast Ride. This is the most recent one. It's been updated like not even 30 days ago. They keep it up to date. It seems to give me the least amount of issues. I have 0 issues with it, so it's the one I recommend. Harvest map. This does is keep track of everything you've harvested. So if you ever want to figure out like the best way to go through and get all your harvestables, you can kind of keep track of where they're all at and make a little run through, be able to grab whatever it is you want. Super handy if you want to, go through it. Harvesting right now is probably on the early game the best way to make money, because raws sell fast and for quite a bit. So if you just want to spend about an hour running through, you find a nice little area where you can run through pretty easily and just get all the different harvestables and then go and sell them. Especially if you can find a good chain of jewelry ones for the platinum, because those always sell for quite a bit. It's the hardest one to grind, and the rares sell for a ton. So it's a handy little money making add-on for you. Odor Reflexes is a DPS and ultimate share, and basically what it does is two things. It keeps everybody who has it keeps track of the DPS they're doing, what percentage they're doing, also when the war horns are available. So you can see in one glance, because when you're doing trials especially, you got 12 people, you want to keep Warhorn going most of the time. And if you've got 6 people who have it, then you can see who's used it most recently and who has it up and available, so you're not overlapping. Because it's about 10 seconds is the best benefit from Warhorn, so you can kind of overlap the secondary effects. Let's see, and then item set browser. This is if you're ever thinking, oh, where is the let's say Addon armor, armor. You can just assign this to a button, you click on it, do a search for Addon armor, and it'll come up, tell you what zone it's in, give you all the details about it. Super handy if you're looking for a set. Not mandatory, just more convenient. Here's a whole bunch more of these and live add-ons. You end up having to get quite a few of them the more add-ons you get. Lore books. Keeps track of where all the lore books are on your map. So if you're trying to raise your mage guild and you're running through an area, after you find them, they disappear, so you know when you got them all from the area. Lost treasure. Similar to lore books, but it puts, if you're ever, your treasure maps that you keep in your inventory, if you have them in your inventory, it puts it right on your map. So it makes it real simple. When you're going to an area, you just look at your map. You got red X's, you know you got treasure you can find in the area. Master Merchant. This one, another mandatory one in my eyes. So it keeps track of everything that it sells in any of the guilds that you're in. Anytime you go to a merchant, it keeps track of all the different sales that happen, and then you can see, based upon that information, how much stuff sells for. So when you're looking through your inventory, you can see, Fortified Nincrux. It has 561 sales. There's 4 out of 647 items listed over the last 20 days, with an average price of 18,067 gold. So you know, if you see some and you see one selling for 11,000, you might want to pick that up because you can probably flip that and make yourself a nice quick 7,000 gold profit. Also, when you're looking through the guild merchant, it tells you which are good deals and not. So it'll tell you this ring usually sells for X amount of money, and it's about 68% cheaper than normal. This one's 39% cheaper, this one's 48% more expensive. So it gives you a good idea of things that you could purchase and flip, how often they're selling. It tells you like how many sales there are in the last how many days. So it gives you an idea. If you only see one sold 20 days ago, but it looks like a good deal, maybe it's not, because they don't really sell that often. So it could have just been one sold for a ridiculous price. So that one's kind of mandatory in my opinion. Port to friend's house, not mandatory in any way. It simply allows you to, let's say your friend has 3 houses and their secondary house is where they keep their crafting stuff. You want to go there, you just save that house and you can go to that house, because if you just go to your friends list, it only lets you travel to the primary residence of your friend and not any secondary or third housing that they may have. So if you have friends who have a lot of houses, it might be handy. That's about the only reason. Potion maker just makes it really easy to make potions. Simply you click, I want a potion that restores health, restores stamina, and adds weapon attack. So you go click, click, click on whatever level you want to make it, and it gives you a list of all the different potions you can make with those traits and how much of the ingredients you have to make those. You just click on the one, it adds all the ingredients for you. It makes life way easier when you're making potions. Raid Notifier is like that codes notifications that we talked about previously, but it's for raids instead of dungeons. And it gives you notifications whenever something dangerous is about to happen. So it'll say like Eclipse Field Warning, and you know at this point this effect's going to hit, and you should be rolling out of the way, blocking, whatever the situation's going to be. So if you're doing trials, it's mandatory in my opinion. That's no way around it. Alright, so Research Assistant. This one keeps track of whether or not you've researched an item that's in your inventory, or if you have duplicates of that researchable item, so you know not to keep your inventory full of a whole bunch of stuff you've already researched. And it lists it in 2 ways. If there's a red dot, it means you only have one and you haven't researched it. Probably don't want to sell or trash that item if you plan on doing the research for it. Yellow means you have multiples, like you see here, they had 2. It's the same item, means you can break one of them down, and then this will turn red. So you can go through your inventory if you do have a lot of duplicates and try to thin it out so you're not carrying a whole bunch of stuff needlessly. It's Sky Shards. So Sky Shards, mandatory. Every area you go in keeps track of the Sky Shards that you need to find and that you haven't found, because if you're playing for any amount of time, you need skill points. That's the way to get them. Untaunted. If you're ever going to tank, this is mandatory. If you're not, don't worry about it. All it does is it keeps track of what you've taunted and how long you have the taunt on it. Also gives you a little like squiggly line above their head. It's harder to see, not that important. This is the important part right here. If you've ever tanked, you know managing Your resources is one of the biggest and hardest parts of tanking. And so over taunting is the biggest waste of resources as a tank. And so knowing when you need to be taunting stuff over and over again is key. So this is mandatory tank add-on. If you're not tanking, don't worry about it. Set ultimate reminders, super small, simple add-on. Just yells at you when your ultimate's ready. That's basically it. You can set a notification noise. You can say wherever you want it to pop up. I have mine pop up like the top right just goes ultimate. So I know, hey, I should probably use that thing. And writ-worthy. So this, if you're doing master writs, tells you whenever you hover over a writ, whether or not you have the motif that you need, whether or not you have the trait that you need, and if you have the skill that you need to do the writ. So you don't accidentally click on writs that you can't do. Also tells you how much the material will actually cost based upon your master merchant sales pricing. So you know, hey, this actually is quite an expensive writ to do if you don't have the stuff to do it. So some of them you'll notice it's real cheap to do and you're like, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and do it anyways and go and buy myself the motif and the Nirnhorn and what have you. So really good if you're doing master writs. And then Zynode's all about mechanics. This gives you an in-game, while you're playing, description of whatever the boss fights that you're maybe doing. Maybe it's not loading right now. But it'll give you just click on in-game. It's in the top left corner of your screen. It's a little, it's got like 4 options. One of them takes you to the website. So while you're fighting, you can just simply go up here. There's a little box. You click on it. This comes down, tells you about the boss fight, tells you all the different parts that are going to happen during the fight. So you can give you an idea of if you've never been in a fight before, where you're like, why do we keep dying? Click on that, read through the description. You're like, oh, the braziers going out. I should be lighting them again. Kind of gives you an idea on how to get through tougher encounters as you play through. Also has the arenas in there. A lot of the trials are in there if you're not familiar with them. It also will tell you the difference between normal, vet, and hard mode. So it gives you an idea of like if I do hard mode, here's the added mechanic that we're going to have to deal with. So I use it all the time because I like doing hard stuff. And doing hard stuff is recommended. All right, so that is all the add-ons I have. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions, simply ask them either in Discord or on the YouTube channel. Be more than happy to go over it with you. All right, have a good day. Later.